Hi, Winnie. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, everybody. I haven't done a pep talk in a while because I haven't been feeling very peppy. And I've been casting about for a topic that I could talk about without turning it into some kind of a rant or a pity poor me session because that's not helpful to me or anybody else. And I do these to be helpful. I hear from a lot of students that they find these pep talks helpful. So I wanted to find something encouraging to say at a time when I was not feeling very encouraged. And as I was thinking about this, a student told me that she finds the pep talks very beneficial and she always watches them. And I asked her, what would you like to see me do for a topic? And she said she would really like to see me do one on how do you keep the faith during tough times? How do you hang on to your optimism and sense of purpose when you're going through a rough spot? And that really struck me. I really thought about it because that's not something that comes naturally to me any more than it does to anybody else. That's hard for me, hanging on to faith and optimism at times when I'm not feeling that way. Yet, I usually manage not to let the dark feelings overtake me too much. So I had to have a think about that. What is it that I do? Now, I know a lot of people who watch these pep talks probably think that I'm always cheerful and optimistic and just a ray of sunshine, right? Um, no, I'm not. But I'm an old lady, and I've lived long enough to know that tough times don't last. So I've been really pondering this idea of how do we overcome the dark periods in our lives. And I think for me, and I can only speak for myself and what works for me, I think about the fact that I've been through things in my life that I thought there was no way I was ever going to bounce back from, and I did. So I think the human spirit is much more resilient than we think it is, but it takes time to heal from difficult experiences, and we have to be patient with that process, and we have to allow ourselves that time. I did a pep talk recently called You're Allowed to Be Angry, and I have felt very angry this week over something that happened. Um, I don't want to elaborate because then it'll turn into a rant, which I don't want it to be. But I had to allow myself to be angry while not directing that anger at the wrong source, at the wrong people or places. And to kind of lean into that anger and try to understand it. Why does this make me angry? Why does this make me feel like I've been treated wrongly? And what can I take from that? What's the grain of knowledge that maybe I can take from that moving forward? So I always think about something my mom used to tell me when I would be upset or melancholy, especially if it was late at night. She would say, "You'll feel better in the morning." And it always felt like she was kind of trying to put me off, but it is true that after a good night's sleep, I often see things differently. And that good night's sleep might literally be a good night's sleep, or it might just be taking a couple of days to let your anger or feelings of upset dispel a little bit, to try to understand them a little better. You don't have to react immediately to anything. If someone sends you a message, like a text message that upsets you, you don't have to respond right away. Sometimes I hold off on writing emails, or I'll write the draft but not send it right away. Just giving yourself time to think about, how do I want to react to this? I don't want to have a knee-jerk reaction. I want to react in the healthiest way possible for me and for everybody else involved in the situation. So that's one way I cope, is to allow myself to sleep on it, either literally or metaphorically. Um, Another way is to cling to what you know, cling to what I know, cling to my own resilience, cling to the fact that I know that these dark times end, that I know that after feeling like crap, I'm going to feel better. I know that after a loss, there is a reckoning and we gain other things. I know that. I've had those experiences, and I imagine you have too. So knowing that this is a moment in time, it's a chapter in my life, it will pass, things will get better. And the reason I know that is because they always have before. So trusting in my own resilience, trusting in what I know, cling to what you know. You know there will be love again. You know there will be um, righteousness. You know there will be um, a reckoning in your heart that will make you feel better. Um, Another thing I know is that writing helps me. So if you're the type to keep a journal, I find that, I don't keep journal entries as a record of what I did that day. Not like, dear diary, today I went out to lunch with so and so. It's not like that. It's more of a way of working out in writing what to do about some of my problems. And it's a fascinating thing that happens when you put the pen to the paper and just kind of free write. You often end up, or at least I often end up, solving my own problems that way. It seems to bring up ideas from lower levels of consciousness that I hadn't thought about. It also helps me to really define the problem that I'm having and to really figure out what the issues are. So that's another technique that we can use. But my best bit of advice for dark times, and it's not an instant fix, and it may not sound like something useful to you, but for me it is just to keep reminding myself that it will pass, that things will look different, that things will look better, that in this moment I may not be able to make sense of what's happening, but in the future I will be. So for now, all I can control is how I react to it, and not making it worse by having knee-jerk reactions that are just going to upset myself and others even more. And just trust in what I know. Cling to the fact that every storm stops at some point. And a new day dawns. I know these all sound like cliches, but the sun will come up tomorrow. And it'll be a different day with a different perspective. Um, and I'll be a day older and a day stronger and able to cope. You're able to cope too. You're able to cope better than you think you are. You're resilient. You're strong. You've been through very difficult things in your past, and you have come through them, and you're still standing. And none of us come through them undamaged, but we come through them with new wisdom that helps us as we move forward in life. I'm thinking of the theme song to the musical Into the Woods. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but the idea of going into the woods is going into the dark and challenging places of life and encountering, you encounter bears and witches and scary things in the woods sometimes. But you're strong enough. And there's a line in that song that says, and everything you learn there will help when you return there. And I really believe that. And I believe if I don't know exactly what to do about a difficulty right now, that I don't have to solve it right this minute. The solution may reveal itself over time. The solution might reveal itself through more life experience, through new people I haven't met yet, through the healing process. So I encourage you, cling to what you know, and things will be brighter. I promise. Take care. Bye-bye.